Jack, could you describe to us someone that's looking, maybe they're already using Claude Code or Claude or whatever, and they want to start using Hermes? Like they've got excited even from hearing what you said in the beginning of this conversation. What is like the fast path to like start using Hermes, like build your first workflow? Like, how are you even starting that process?
Hermes itself can run on your computer, which means your own hardware, right? And a lot of people do this because it means it's literally on your MacBook Mini. Hermes runs on my desktop 24/7. I'll tell you right now, having your local AI is one of the funnest things ever. So we can run it there. We can run it on a VPS, which is basically just renting somebody else's computer, and it can run anywhere we want to. It's completely free and it's open source. How do we actually do it? Well, you're going to head over to the Hermes website, okay? And on Hermes website, you're going to see this code here, all right? And all you're going to do is come down and copy this code, right? And then effectively on your computer, you're going to open up what is called the terminal. And you just type in terminal, like so. This pops up. And I just Command V. That's it. And then all of a sudden, this will install Hermes. And then you have Hermes on your computer. That is how simple this is. So it looks like we're seeing the matrix fall before our very eyes here, and we kind of are in a way, but that's how you get Hermes running on your computer. And then all we're going to do is connect it to something that we want to connect it to. So for example, you can connect Hermes to, if I come over and show you this one here, Telegram, you can connect it to WhatsApp, you can have it in your agentic operating system, which is what I've got mine connected to as well, and people in my community. And effectively what that then means is I can drop it messages and ask it questions, I can drop it voice notes, I can do anything with it. That's essentially how straightforward it is. Then what this will do is then ask you through what do you want to set up. So this is saying, great, we've got Hermes on your computer now. What model do you want to use? So if you're following the advice I gave you earlier, which I highly recommend, you're going to choose OpenAI, right? OpenAI means that our ChatGPT subscription powers it, which is such an unbelievable deal because it's $20 a month, and then effectively you get to chat with it. And then OpenAI is in your Hermes agent. And you can go through this whole thing by going up and down and enter to go to the next one and things like that. And you're going to do for the OpenAI codex, okay? And then it's going to ask you to authenticate, and then it opens up a browser, you connect to it, and you just go through the setup menu, and then effectively you're rocking and rolling. And remember, Hermes is a beast mode because it can do things like reminders. It does work when you sleep. And it's amazing. So it can connect to Notion. I can say, hey, go send a message on Slack. I had my entire team, Callum, update their priorities and what they're working on inside ClickUp. And my Hermes agent, when I ask it a question, will check what's happening in the business and give me advice on that. So for example, this right here you're looking at is my memory system that we built in the agentic operating system with Hermes. And effectively, it's all of the knowledge I have. It's all of my Obsidian information, it's all of my files, all the chat history, things like that. And the really cool thing about Hermes Agent, because it's got so many sick features, I have to explain a couple of them because it's ridiculous. You can select the model you want to do. So for example, here in Hermes, I may not want to speak to ChatGPT. Maybe I want to speak to Claude Fable 5. Maybe I want to have a conversation with DeepSeek V4 Pro. Maybe I want to speak to Kimi. Maybe I want to speak to Grok. I just simply select, and now I'm having a conversation with that model. I can check here, for example, the context window that I'm using. I can do goals. I can create personas. So this is what we call the Pantheon. So in the Pantheon, you can make different things. So let's say, for example, Callum, that one of the things that you want to do with your podcast is to do deep research on a guest. I could create a skill that does that exactly, a persona. And so I go with Athena, for example. I could say this one is podcast research, right? If we could spell, that'd be fantastic. You describe the skill, the system prompt, and then you pick the model you want to do it, and then you create this. And then effectively, whenever I have a conversation with Hermes agent, like here, for example, I asked it a question, check my Obsidian memory, tell me 3 things about YouTube intros, and it did it. This is grabbing information from my computer, and I can do this anywhere I go. That's how powerful this thing is. I can create these skills, and now it has that. So honestly, the things this can do is crazy. The key message here is that Hermes can effectively do anything that you imagine. It's super simple to set up, and you just explain to it what you want it to do, and you could literally be like, hey, I could give it a command, for example, that says something like, hey, at 9 p.m. every day, I want you to round up what are the top 3 priorities for tomorrow, right? If I did this and send this off, Hermes will create a proactive skill and message me at 9 p.m. every single day. Like, that's how simple this thing is to set up.
Yeah. Okay, Jack, this is really good. And You know what? Let me give this disclaimer. Excuse me, because this is my first time. I'm literally seeing Hermes Agent for the first time with you right now. And so I'm gonna ask the dumb questions that I'm thinking, but then also probably the person at home's thinking that's seeing it for the first time. So that's the disclaimer. To begin, because I saw two things, right? I saw you pulled up the actual website, like the Hermes website, and then you also have the terminal that you're working in. And it looks like you were kind of like typing between, sometimes you're using the terminal, sometimes you're like typing directly into the website itself. Can you explain in terms of just like the base functionality of how it works? On the website, it's almost similar to ChatGPT or Claude, where you have like an account with Hermes that you've set up. And then how does the term, like, how are you splitting between the terminal and then just on the website? Like, just give me that breakdown of like how the beginner should kind of start by interfacing with Hermes.
When I'm out and about, I am personally, and I recommend that everyone does this, I'm using Telegram. Telegram, you can use WhatsApp, but Telegram is the most, think of it as the most friendly chat interface that is 100% private, by the way. It's crazy. That you can use any way you want to. So for example, in Telegram, here for example, I might just say, hey, which model is this? Okay, I can ask it any questions I want to and have a conversation with Hermes. So what I highly, highly recommend that you do is go ahead and download Telegram and you connect it. Now what's cool is that you see this right here, right? This is GPT 5.6 Sol, okay, running through OpenAI Codex OAuth. Amazing. So download Telegram on your phone and you can connect it with Hermes Agent. And let's be honest, this looks a million times better than the terminal. So I never want you to use the terminal. You don't need to use the terminal. That's just to set it up. Once we've done that, the work either happens in Telegram or in your agentic OS if you're using an agentic operating system. And then I can drop voice messages. So I could like come down here, for example. Let's go ahead and record one, shall we? So hold on to this. Hey there, could you do me a favor? Go ahead and find out for me who was the tallest man to ever live. And then go ahead and make for me a really simple, beautiful HTML overview of what that looks like, please. Explain the top 5 tallest people ever. Very random question. I could be out and about. Maybe you've got an idea. Maybe you've got an idea for a presentation or a project, or maybe you want to pitch something. I can drop these voice notes, right? And this is why I really like running it on my computer, because it's running 24/7. I can see it, I own it, and it all stays on my computer. I could, if I want to, for example, Callum, if I'm out and about and I've got Telegram here, I could be like, hey, dude, what was the last thing that I downloaded on my computer? Or I saved some notes yesterday to this thing. Could you go ahead and grab them for me? And Hermes can go ahead and do this. And there's so many cool commands that we can do. If you want to do a follow-up command, for example, and not disrupt the flow, we could do, for example, Q, which means that, hey, when you finish that thing, do something else. I could do something like steer. So steer is, I've got a follow-up command. So I could say, hey, make sure it looks beautiful, okay? Whatever it is. And now that will steer the conversation. And Hermes now is just going to work in the background, Calm. So you just crack on with anything else that you're doing, and Hermes will go ahead and do this. It can search the internet. It can build you things. It can do anything you want to. So practically speaking, you could just give it anything. Another example is I could give it video. So if I do /learn, okay, and then I drop a video link in here, which I'll show you in a second, it will go ahead and learn that right there for me, and then I can ask it questions if I want to. I mean, that's how incredible it is.
Interesting. The only reason that you're using the terminal is just to get it set up and integrated with a WhatsApp or a Telegram. Once it's integrated, the way that you're interfacing with it is not through the terminal or giving it instructions. It's not through the terminal. It's through Telegram in this example, or WhatsApp. And then, so that's number one. And then the second thing that kind of popped in my mind is the way that you're using it is almost as if it's like a digital employee. So the same way that you might have someone on your team and you're like, they're a human, you're messaging them on Slack and you're like, oh yeah, can you look through this and do this and do this? It feels like you're doing the same thing, but it's just the thing, I should say, that's executing it is Hermes. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly right. So for example, one of the things that I might say to Hermes Agent I might say something like this, right? So I could do Q. Let's do Q here. Hey there, I want you to go ahead to Callum Johnson's YouTube channel. It's a brilliant, very educational podcast. Take a look through the videos, take a look through the comments. Let me know what the comment sentimentality are. Let me know the type of topics that Callum covers. And why don't you go ahead and write for me a brief message that would resonate with Callum, that includes personal information unique to him, that maybe he shared in an episode that would enable me to build a relationship with him, right? Bam. That's the kind of thing I can say to Hermes' agent and send that off. And Hermes will do that and come back with a message. And if I wanted to reach out to Callum Cole, for example, I could just do that. Now, maybe Callum, you mentioned deep in a podcast, like an hour and 20 minutes in, I really love McFlurries. Now I know that information. I said, Callum, love the podcast. Okay, obviously don't say this if you haven't actually watched it, but I'm just trying to demonstrate like how powerful this is, that you can find out this kind of information, like what's something that Callum really likes that I could think about if I were reaching out to him. And I just bang that to Hermes' agent, I crack on with my day, and it comes back to me. So think of it, it is literally your AI employee, and it will work for you in the background and do anything you ask it to do.